I'm Eric Parker this morning on CT21, a special 4th of July program on what patriotism means from the perspective of several different people. First, UConn coach Geno Auriemma. He immigrated to the United States from Italy as a boy, becoming a college basketball coach who's led 11 UConn women's basketball teams to national championships and Team USA to Olympic gold twice.
When the flags, start going up that pole and the national anthem's playing, I think then it hits you that this isn't just any championship.
We're also talking to retired Marine Corps Colonel Adele Hodges. She was the first female to run Camp Lejeune. We're getting her take on what it means to be a patriotic American. And we're meeting high school teacher Charlie Jones. This is her first 4th of July as a U.S. citizen. She was sworn in just 3 months ago. It's all ahead this Sunday, July 4th. CT21 starts right now.
From Channel 3, this is Connecticut's most watched current affairs program, CT21, with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning. On this 4th of July, you are bound to see a lot of red, white, and blue as we celebrate the birth of our nation. It's a way we show our patriotism. But what does it really mean to be patriotic? This morning, we're putting that question to some proud Americans. We begin with UConn women's basketball coach Geno Auriemma. Geno, thank you for being with us. And I know you've talked a lot about what it means to have the success that you've had, having come over as a little boy from Italy. What does patriotism mean to you?
Well, thank you, Eric. First of all, I appreciate you having me on. And it's always been, for me, a special feeling whenever I think about the opportunity that I had to come over here and what separated me from those kids that were left behind, whose parents didn't have the courage and the foresight to say, hey, we need to, go 3,000 miles across the ocean. And I was one of the fortunate ones to have the opportunity to make that trip. And I think about what my life would have been had I not come over here, had I not had these opportunities, had I not grown up, the way they did. And the first 30 some years that I was here, I carried a green card, I was an immigrant, and then, I couldn't vote, I used it, everywhere I went, I had to show it. And yet I always felt like as much of an American as anyone else. And then my mother became a U.S. citizen in 1976. Think about that. 200 years after 1776 in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it was the most incredible thing ever. She was so proud that she got the answers right to some of the questions that they asked. And then I ended up getting my citizenship short time after that. But even today, I think about how fortunate I am and the opportunities that I've had and the things that I see that I can that relate to from other immigrants that have come over here, those that are trying to come over here. So I have a pretty unique perspective, I think, on what 4th of July really means.
Now, I think one thing that's important to note is, it's not like you came over here and were given this fancy office in stores, right? Your father worked in a cinder block factory. Your mom worked hard when you first immigrated to the U.S. Everything you have is sort of earned. Is that the immigrant story, Geno? Is that what all these people who come here have the opportunity to do and why it's a special place?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I get a little bit upset when people whose parents or grandparents or great grandparents or, who came here generations ago, they tend to forget what that was like. They are reaping the benefits of all that, and yeah, I wore clothes that my mother made to school. I had 2 pairs of pants when I was in high school, one for Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and one for Tuesday and Thursdays. So I never had a car, a checkbook, credit cards, none of the things that we all take for granted today. So, to me, coming was such an arduous journey. What you had to go through, what you had to prove that you should come here and that you were allowed to come here and you deserved to be here was incredibly difficult, and it took a long, long time. But I often say this to my friends. I say, listen, you have to understand where we were coming from and what that country was like in the 50s after World War II, and Southern Italy, where, people are still working on plantation farms, and, the only food they ate is what they could make, and the only thing they would wear is what they could make. So I said, yeah, but if I lived in Mexico, or I lived in Canada, or I lived someplace where I had to sneak in and didn't have to travel 3,000 miles, hell, I'd have been over here a lot sooner than that. So and then when you get here, you find that you have to work twice as hard. You have to try twice as hard. You have to be twice as good, twice as committed, twice as dedicated. And you have to overcome twice as many things. And a lot of the people that take that for granted, it's because their great-great-great-grandparents did it. But I did it firsthand. And that's why I think it's special to me, for me personally, my family, and all the other immigrants that are in the same situation that I'm in.
I want to ask you about the Olympics, because I think there's probably a short list of people who can say they have accomplished what you accomplished coming from that start to where you are today, but also stood there and listened to the Star Spangled Banner on a medal stand. I want to play this soundbite for you and then have you react to it. Take a listen.
From the very first day that I coached USA basketball back in 1993, you don't really understand the magnitude of what you're doing till the last day when the flags, start going up that pole and the national anthem's playing. I think then it hits you that this isn't just any championship, that this is something special and something unique, no question.
I think anyone who's interviewed you, Geno, knows when you search for words, something's going on, and you appeared to be searching for words there. So it must have been a powerful moment to just stand there. And it did all that you've accomplished. Is that the patriotism of that moment?
Yeah. It actually happens before the championship game, because you don't realize it before that. So you're playing a couple, qualifying games, and then the minute you get into the arena and you see the three poles, one in the middle, two on the sides, and there's three flags at the bottom of those poles. You can't see the flags because they don't know who's going to win yet. And I'm getting goosebumps now. So as the game's getting ready to start, it like hits you like a wave. You just go, in 2 hours, they're going to lift three flags. One's going to be at the top and two are going to be on the side. I cannot live with myself. I can't walk out of here if they lift any flag up there other than the United States of America flag. And it just, it just overwhelms you. And then when that does happen and you're standing on the gold medal platform, there's this tremendous sense of relief and accomplishment. And you just feel like, okay, if you win in Connecticut, okay, people in Connecticut are happy. If you lose in Connecticut, people in Connecticut are disappointed. When you win a gold medal for the United States of America, you feel like the entire country is proud of you and that you've made them proud by what you did. And I never experienced anything like that in my life before or since.
Well, and you did it twice, which is quite an accomplishment. We only have about 30 seconds left. I have to ask you a basketball question or I'll be in trouble. Paige Beckers, that she's going to get that walking boot off. She's going to be back.
Yeah, Paige has got her walking boot off, and she's working out. And she told me this morning, she goes, I'm back. I said, well, you got about another month at least before you can start being back. And she goes, yeah, don't worry, I'm back. So we're trying to hold her, to a regular schedule. But this kid wants to be on the court so bad. But don't worry, she'll be back sooner than anybody else could imagine. All
right, Geno Auriemma, we appreciate you being with us on this 4th of July and sharing your thoughts on patriotism. We hope you'll join us again soon.
Thank you, Eric. I really enjoyed it.
Coming up, from coach to colonel, the first woman ever to run Marine Corps Camp Lejeune talks about what patriotism means to her. And later, choosing America. We're talking to a local teacher from South America who's one of our country's newest citizens, sworn in just 3 short months ago. We'll be right back.